The goals don't change. The input does. Your output is supposed to equal what the goal is. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to day 29 of the free 30-day challenge inside the Uncaged free group. And today we're going to get into some real big stuff. Very excited about this. This is going to be the first time I've really shown the public any information like this. This is a lot of sensitive information that we have spent a long time coming up with for Uncaged specifically, the direction it's going and what the next 5 years looks like. So yesterday you were able to see like what the different SOPs for Uncaged looked like and what the different org chart both now as well as in what 5 years from the future looks like. You got a little bit of a glimpse into what we're going to be talking about today, which is going to be forecasting the next 5 years. I want you to forecast the next 5 years of your life, whether that be personally or professionally. If you have a business, it needs to be professionally. If you don't have a business, it needs to be personal. So here's where I'm going to hold you to being responsible for getting this homework done. If you don't own a business, you need to be thinking creatively while I go through this on how this can apply for you and your business. This is a lot of this kind of stuff that we do talk about in the VIP program, and really what it could do for you as far as coming up with what the future of your life really personally looks like. But what I want to just preface before we jump into this is the numbers that you're going to see. I am not a business guru. I am not a business coach. I have built, scaled, and closed several businesses, own equity in a few businesses, and Uncaged is my full-time focus, which is why I'm able to put so much time and dedication and attention into stuff like this. So what you're seeing here is the way my brain works. What you're seeing here is the way I operate. What you're seeing here might not be right, but this is the type of information that I come up with and I create before hiring a business coach, stuff like that. And so now I do have a business coach that I do pay handsomely to observe stuff like this, give me my feedback, let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, stuff like that. And so I want to give you these types of tools before you ever go joining a group or before you ever go hiring a coach or anything associated to that, mentor, you name it. This is the type of foundational stuff that was really going to help you be more efficient with the time that you're paying for or the time that you're requesting from some of these high-level individuals. So be very, very cognizant as you go through this. The more successful that you can, or the more specific that you can be about this, the more successful you'll be. So when you do come up with some of this stuff and when you do Google this stuff or ChatGPT it prior to going to some of these people who you're paying time for, you'll be able to get direct to the point. You'll be able to ask very specific questions. You'll be able to know what your sticking points are and what you specifically need the most amount of help understanding. Now, they may come in and say, hey, you're thinking about it different or wrong. This is a different way to look at it, and this is why. But this kind of stuff is going to really give you the foundation to what you need to do to start making decisions and really kind of reverse engineer everything that you need to get you from where you are now to where you want to go, living that dream life that you have. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and hop into this. It's a monster, so please don't let it overwhelm you like it even overwhelms me. And I'm going to break this down, and these are some very real numbers. So this is the end-all, be-all that I would like to eventually have you create. Now, you're obviously not going to get all this homework done today. Tomorrow is a very exciting day, it being our last day, but I wanted to break down for you. So as you'll see here, January 2025, so that would be January 1, all the way to December 31st of 2030. So the next 5 years, I have all of Uncaged's entire forecast and goals created. So column A, you'll see the year and the month. Then you'll see how many total members that our goal is. Monthly dues, just a note to self, you'll see that we have no intentions of raising the price. And then it goes into like, what is the total monthly revenue that our goal times our monthly dues, which is our cash flow, produces. Now, mind you, I'm very, very big on focusing on cash flow and not just eating what you kill. So at some point, get in VIP so we can start discussing how you can turn your current business model into understanding cash flow and getting that ball rolling for you. But once you do that, you'll be able to make more educated decisions on things like operating cost and marketing and advertising budgets, as well as salaries and hiring, reinvesting back into the business, owner distributions, and then when your goal hires are. These are very, very important pieces of information when it comes to building and scaling a business appropriately. Now, with that said, from here, what I'm able to do is I have my 30,000 foot view is December 30. This is my goal for revenue. What I had to do is divide my goal revenue by our forecasted cost, to have a member in, or really this is the revenue that each individual member produces. You reverse engineer that, and this is the total amount of dollars that are not dollars. This is the total amount of members that would require, multiplied by what our cash flow is to hit the number that we need. And this number is also reverse engineered from all the different salaries that you will start to see over here, which is basically we take the average income for this specific position, and then they get a 3-year opportunity to go from the average to the top 10 percentile of earners for that position nationwide. And so then this gives us a forecast. I literally can tell you on what month of what year I can hire what specific roles. So this is a great opportunity for me to really, truly understand in a 30,000 foot view what Uncaged itself is able to produce. Now, this is what I want you to be doing. This is the way I want you to be thinking. I want to see your 5-year forecast and goal. Now, what I mean by that is you don't necessarily have to flesh all of this out. It is a math problem, but I want you to start here. Like at the end of your 5-year, or realistically, what I want you to do would be your entire 5-year goal. What is that number? What is your cash flow? How do you get it? How many of those clients will you have to have? And then also you can break down. I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, but this is the way that we determined to start breaking down the revenue that was created so that we could scale the way that we want to scale. Our business is set up completely different than a lot, so we have the freedom to have some of these numbers a little bit higher than what most are as far as what I have seen. If you can do this, awesome. If not, hey, it's totally fine. But what we took was our current growth basically that we are showing year over year, and we took it and turned it into a math problem that says, hey, the way we are scaling currently and the way we are projecting for the rest of the year, if we were to continue growing at that rate, what does this look like? And we started with the base of 2025, January 1. So that told us that we need to be at 290 members by the end of January. From there, it jumps by 45, and it continues growing from there on out. And basically, it grows by 5. So I think this is... we're supposed to put 40 new members the month of January in 2025. So we would actually end 2024 with 250 members. So in the month of January of 2025, we would need to add 40 new VIP members, and then it grows by 5 new members being added per month. So 40 added for this month, 45 added here, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and 100. So this is really, really cool. Actually, I guess that's 105. Here's our 100, okay? So 965 to 100, and then 100 to 105, 105 to 110, and so on and so forth. So again, we just turn this into a mathematical problem. Now, the elite goal is once you get all your KPIs locked in, which is actually what we're actively doing inside of Uncaged right now, is dial in custom values with every member and tracking what the conversion rate is, what the lifetime value is, what the churn rate is, what the lifetime sell cycle is, what the lifetime cycle is, what the referral rate is, all this. Like, we're tracking all these numbers because then you can come in and based on this mathematical equation, based on growth month over month, all of these cells, and I'm sure there's a software that can do it too, that can update this in lifetime. So literally every month when we close out a new month, it'll come in here and update and say, all right, based on the forecast that we've created and with the live KPIs that you have, here's the numbers that you're going to be creating, which realistically would be this number and this number. So this is what your projection for memberships are. This is your projection for monthly revenue is. And then these start to adjust because these are our budgets. And based on our budgets, based on the rules that you created, this is your budget for this is your budget for that, right? So this is what really starts to get cool when you start to really figure out your numbers and turning everything into a math problem. Because for me, all the guys in Uncaged really like to make fun of me for turning things into a math problem. But how interesting is this, that not only can you see this number right here on knowing that in December of 2030, my budget for operating costs is going to be almost $500,000. Like my budget for marketing and advertising is $315,000. Our budget for hiring and salaries is going to be $471,000 per month, almost $500,000 a month in salaries, right? And or hiring. Reinvesting it back into the business, an extra 150 G's a month, right? Owner distributions, another $157,000 per month. Like now things start to get really, really interesting. But then from there, this is what gets fun for me, is now I get to see exactly what month I can hire someone with a $205,000 salary. Then immediately right after that, another hire with a $244,000 salary. Then another hire 2 months after that for $210,000. 2 months after that, another hire for $140,000. Then another hire for $125,000, and then another hire for $125,000, and then another hire for $125,000, and then another hire for $133,000, then another director for $140,000, and then another manager for $105,000. And then you start getting really fun where you get 3 new hires this month for $70,000 each for a total of $210,000. 3 more hires two months after that. 3 months after that, 2 more hires. 3 months after that, another 3 hires. 4 months after that, another 2, another 2. Another 2. This is what gets fun for me, is seeing like when can we start impacting other people's lives. And so then I want to take you over here and show you how we broke this down. So I was able to put together a strategy with all the new members for the VIP programs. Dude, from here, I get this prompt is banging, bro. I was able to take a lot of the information that we had provided earlier, all the different roles and responsibilities for our 5-year forecast and what the 5-year goals look like. And I was able to come in here and regurgitate all this information. Again, I rewrote it. I was able to take the salaries for the top 10% earners, which is the eventual goal that we want, right? So now it knows exactly how much money I need to be expensing for salaries. From there, I also wanted it to talk about how do we scale this. I need to build a strategy growing from 250 members, because that's our end-of-year goal, at $97 a month, and on starting January 1st, to 10,000 members at 10,000 members by the end of December 31st. And I had it produce this, and I ended up giving it our growth scale. So it was able to produce for me what we needed to do to hit that mark. So it told me the new members that needed to be added every month. And then it also told me, which is this number, and then it also told me what our total end of month number would be. So then it starts to produce this number, and it goes all the way up to 10,000. But then what we ended up doing is we had to adjust this because it left off some information. It was bad, so I ended up having to recreate it, give it a little bit more information. But then it created all the different breakdowns on what we needed to have, all the different allocations and everything. So then I was able to take it, regurgitate it back to it, get a better format, and that's basically the rest of this thread. And I'll let you read through it, but I'm basically regurgitating in the information. I'm making some adjustments because it didn't do what it needed to do for some of it, and then I just reprompted it. But then you're able to receive this information, and some of it gets a little clunky. You'll see, I don't know if too many people were using GPT or what, but it actually got where it was making some mistakes, which is also why I don't believe that ChatGPT isn't end all be all. But then this was able to get me to continue processing through this and come up with the actual structure for what you saw today on our 5-year forecast. That is real live numbers. That's exactly what we follow inside of Uncaged. But now that gives us numbers and guidelines to make decisions off of. So what we were able to do with that point is we tracked You have to track your conversion rates. You have to track your churn rates. You have to know your KPIs. This is very, very important here. But once you make that decision to produce a 5-year goal, this is your roadmap. Now, through this should be taking you on to your dream life. You've taken your dream life, you've reverse engineered all of this, and now you say, this is my next sprint. Obviously, a 5-year sprint is a hell of a sprint, but this is the tangible bite-sized piece that I can start breaking down into what I need to do that pushes me on my projection towards my dream life. Now, as you go through this process, which is why I mentioned that these numbers need to ultimately be changing and updating live, is because things happen. Things are going to happen in a year. Things are going to happen in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. Some of your goals may not be the same. That's why this needs to be created as a fluid document for you, a live document that is updated regularly. And so when you're able to have these KPIs and these numbers that we have just shown you, and you turn those into being able to be updated based on the current month-to-date data that you have, which is going to be your conversion rate, like what your churn rate is, all the KPIs that you have, these numbers will update in lifetime. So what we were able to do is we lay this out in five years. We see what our growth is month over month, and then we break it down from December 31 of 2030 all the way to January 1st of 2025 by working backwards to see what our projections are. And then so for us specifically in Uncaged, and by the time you're watching this, we will have already implemented this. We were able to determine based on sales cycle, conversion rates, churn rate, life cycle, everything on when to the date we needed to start implementing changes into our advertisement campaign as well as our hiring roles, both volunteer and paid, to hit the numbers that we are shooting for. Again, those forecasts were created by month over month and year over year numbers that we have seen in the first 2 years of operating inside of Uncaged. So with that being said, it's not a whole lot of data to really make huge forecasts like this, which is why I'm so cognizant on making sure that you have the math done correctly and you create the opportunity for these numbers to update in lifetime so that you can stay on target. Because my goal is not going to change just because the math of month over month, year over year growth for Uncaged changes. That means the math on what we are doing, the input that we are putting in to receive the proper output. The output that we need out is the goal. And when you reverse engineer this way, that tells you what the input needs to be. So for us, for example, when you're able to take how many leads you're getting, what your cost per lead is, what your cost per acquisition is, what your ad budget is, what your conversion rate is, what your lifetime value is, and what your referral value is. Now I can say literally to the month based on the current data that I have, which is the previous 2 years data, as well as the data from my 5-year forecast is right here and right now. This is what I need to be doing to stay on target. And again, my goal is not going to change. So as this data updates live, there's some adjustments. Maybe we're off target for our goal. That allows me to change the math on the input to equal the output needed to hit our goal. So this is the way that I want you thinking. The goals don't change. The input does. Your output is supposed to equal what the goal is. So the math that changes is how much input, how much efficiency, how much workload, how much just consistency do you have to create in order to equal the proper amount of output you need to hit your desired goal. That's it. That's all this is. Everything that I just went over, this is how you do that. I know it can be confusing. So the first thing that I need you to do, the first thing that I want you to do is just to sit down and write out what your 5-year goals are. What does that forecast look like? So you're going to put your goal over here, and then you're going to determine what you're doing to hit that goal. What are you going month over month? What are you doing year over year? What does that number look like? So take your goal, and then you reverse engineer the math on saying, what is your growth goal? And I'll actually tell you in lifetime what our month over month goal is, which is how I was able to do the math. I think it was 243% when I first did that number. So we're at 232.2%, right? So our gross volume month over month is growing by 232.2%. So I have my goal now, and I get to ask ChatGPT, and there's other mathematical equations that you can do. You can Google it, whatnot. I prefer ChatGPT, but I say, hey, here's my goal. Here's what I want to hit. At current pace, this is where we are. And we are growing at 232.2% month over month, month over month, month over month. What does it take for me to get from where I am to where I want to go? I want to see those numbers. I want to have that conversation in the thread. I want you to talk about it. I want other members to talk about it. I want y'all to brainstorm together. I want y'all to start communicating on how awesome, this is really cool to see. This is what I believe. Based on what I've seen, I think you could adjust. They're going to give you advice and opinions on what they've seen's worked. Coming together as a community to see these numbers lifetime is going to really impact us in a way to where we have people for different perspectives and different personalities and different experience levels to potentially give you a different frame of mind that you haven't thought of before. Like if we aren't the same, if we think differently, my brain is going to operate differently than you. So when you get in here and you get really vulnerable and transparent and authentic with some of this stuff, like what I just did for you, this is now opening me up, and me engaging in this thread has now opened me up for the conversation for other people to be able to potentially show me something that I haven't thought of, which in turn is only going to make me more efficient. And that's what's really crazy inside of Uncaged. You know, I got called out on the expert call on Wednesday, and you know, we discussed it. It was Drewby that had this conversation with me, and it was funny because in the DMs we were talking. It's like, man, I love being called out. I at least like being told that I'm heading down the wrong way, the wrong path, or this is a different thought process that's required to be able to get the desired outcome that you want. And so it's these conversations that we're about to have in this homework thread where you're going to take your 5-year forecast and you're going to plug it in and tell us, what does that look like? Now, again, mind you, I'm not expecting you to have a document that is so in-depth and has so many numbers that I do. Now, you have time to do it if that's what you want. Like, if you saw that and you're like, bro, I would love to have something like that for me and my organization, fucking do it, bro. I can't tell you how awesome it is to come back to this, and I literally double check every decision that I make. Is it in alignment with this? Is it in alignment with this? Is it in alignment with this? This is a living document that's going to be changing, full transparency. And especially as my coach comes back and corrects it, it's going to change again. It's going to change again. But now this is way better than shooting in the dark. If you don't know what you're aiming for, you're going to miss every shot you take, right? This right here is a tool for you to use to know that you can make decisions based on where you are and where you want to go. And this is it. This is going to give you much more clarity. It's going to show you how you can make decisions that fall in line here. Does it sit with the rules of the budget here? Does it sit in the rules with the budget here? Does it sit in the rules with the budget here? Because if the answer is no, it's fucking black and white. It's right there, right in front of you, and especially if you're at the point where you're updating daily. So again, you might not have this document all completely created and fleshed out that way. Your homework moving past the 30-day challenge is to continue building it, is to continue updating it and changing it as you grow, as your goals grow, as things change inside of your organization, as you make hires, as you make fires. That's your responsibility. But this is the push you need to go ahead and get this started, because we're going to hold you accountable to at least seeing the starting position there, which is what is the end of the 5 years. Now, I would behoove you to show us at least what's the end of the 5 years and where are you at now, which will allow us to help start fleshing out the interior. Now, realistically, what's going to happen is you're going to just basically take your end goal from where you are, and then you're going to reverse engineer. And again, you can use ChatGPT. You can do your own math. You can write it down on a notebook. You can Google it. I'm sure there's some other softwares out there. But take where you want to go and where you're at, and then you use that to flesh out the entire journey between now and then. And this is going to give you a very, very great 30,000 foot view to be able to start making decisions and saying, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. So thank you so much. Hop in the homework, and we're going to see you tomorrow.